Alright, hey guys, and welcome. So it's been a while since I uploaded a video, but I guess I'm just gonna go straight into it. So I haven't done Showdown in a while, but recently I found the time to do some Showdown because, it takes a little bit of just a very quick time, right, to play a game and move on about your day. It's just that I don't really have the time to get the recordings, during the live sessions. So it's easy that I can just save the replay and then go over it, which is what we'll be doing today. So I wanted to build a team that can work around the current meta before the meta changes once again and all the restrictions are in and all hell breaks loose. So with whatever's left of the existing meta, I wanted to build a team that can utilize Tyranitar in some way and Sandstorm in some way. And it turns out that it's still one of the worst weather conditions like in the entire game. Even Hail's got like some unique stuff going about it. But in terms of Trick Room, in terms of Ice, Pokemon and Rock Pokemon in Trick Room, Rock Pokemon will, more than often perform better just because there's a lot of flying types in the meta right now, and I think that's one huge advantage, that Rock can really take. And also, the special defense boost is not really something anyone is going to be going after. It's more so just being able to break Focus Sash, which is really the main thing that Sandstorm does so well. I mean, Hill does the same too, yeah, but I just try to see if I can make use of this in some way. So Tyranitar is the only one that's going to benefit from the special defense boost. All the other Pokemon is just not really going to take damage. We do have an Oranguru here who will be one of our main Trick Room setters, and Oranguru is pretty awesome actually. It's one amazing Trick Room setter Pokemon. So first of all, I'm going to go through our attackers, which is Celesteela and the other special attacker being Dialga. So Celesteela is really offensive over here. As you can see, Power Herb Beast Boost is gonna go for a Meteor Beam if it's not under threat, and if it is under threat, it can still just Dynamax and go into something else. But you want to avoid Electric Pokemon and Fire Pokemon as much as possible. Although there is a chance that you can take it. So what I do is I go for the minus speed. All this Pokemon is going to be minus speed because of Trick Room and we do need special defense and HP mainly because a lot of the fire and electric threats are all going to come from the what do you call the special types. There's not really many physical types that Celesteela is going to be worried about. And it's a great switch in for even Pokemon like Zacian because Celesteela can take most of what Zacian can do. There's nothing really effective that Zacian can throw against Celesteela. So you can always survive a hit, just that you got to be really careful that if Zacian has its boost and you don't have it under Intimidate, you could take too much of damage. So you just got to be really cautious with that. As for Dialga, Dialga is going to be my second Trick Room setter because it's the only other Pokemon. This is the only Uber Pokemon that I have in the team, right? I really went through all the other Uber options and I was trying to work around Palkia in some way because Palkia is amazing against the Kyogre teams. But Palkia is not very good in the sense where it does have some obvious dragon weaknesses, fairy weaknesses, who are very common in the format as well. It's not unorthodox to have Reshurams, other Dialgas, and then it becomes a speed challenge. And yeah, Dialga doesn't, I mean, yeah, sorry, Palkia, and then Palkia and the speed challenge doesn't really perform very well. So yeah, so in that case, I went for Dialga instead, where I am threatened by fighting types, I am threatened by ground types. But because I have two Pokemon that are flying, ground types is something that I can work around. And in the case of fighting type, I basically have to be careful with Tyranitar. The monkey is not really too worried about what do you call this? Uh, fighting types. However, I do want to change out Dialga in some way. I want to get a better Trick Room setter that's also a Pokemon that can, that I can use offensively in terms of special attacks. So I will be going over my options later on, and probably it's going to be some Uber Pokemon. So yeah, peep here. So wait, no, not that one. What am I doing here? All right, so that's basically Dialga's option. It's going to be very high on the special attack. It's going to be similar build in terms to what do you call this? The Celesteela, who's going to be one of our main core sort of Pokemon here. As for our physical threats, we have the Landoristarian, who is just amazing. It's just gotta be careful with this Pokemon taking against Defiant Thundurus because Defiant Thundurus, although you think that it's probably not gonna go for Max Lightning, it doesn't need Max Lightning. It can just Max Knuckle and take out your support Pokemons. And Landorus doesn't really have many ways of attacking Thundurus, so you have to be really careful when you use this against those kinds of teams. But other than that, Landorus really threatens the metagame really well, even against opposing Charizards and Groudons. You're not going to take a Precipice Blade, so you have the Max Rock Falls to use in some way. And nowadays Max Quake is is one of the biggest threat in the game because of his special defense boost. And so many Pokemon weak to ground types, so there's always going to be a flying Pokemon, and you can definitely take advantage of that with Max Rockfall instead. So Tyranitar is the other option. This is a very interesting Pokemon in the sense where it has fallen, in and out of the metagame for over so many years. And I really wanted to go Focus Sash Tyranitar actually, but I settled down for the weakness policy one eventually because it did give me some faith in the sense where I can survive a single attack, and even if I can get one Rock Slide off after that, I can often KO or even double KO a lot of Pokemon. So it's quite scary in the sense where people don't expect it. The fact that Tyranitar might survive a Sacred Sword or something like that. More than often I don't, but to be fair, to be honest, but if I do, it's quite scary that I can punish with it. And also Tyranitar is really good against Calyrex. In general, both the Calyrex actually, and also against what do you call this? Yveltal. Yveltal is also something Tyranitar can totally counter. Charizard. Yeah, there's so many. Lunala. Lunala is also something that Tyranitar can counter. So Tyranitar has something going for it. It's just very niche, and you gotta be very careful in using it. Landorus Assault Vest and Spadef was the build that I had to go for. Sorry, I just had to cover this again. And Celesteela Power Herb is the obvious combo. In terms of Dialga, I went for Safety Goggles. I know I'm not going to take any sandstorm damage, but Safety Goggles is helpful in the sense where I'm not going to, get put to sleep when I'm facing Sun teams, Venusaur combo Sun teams, because Sun teams is something that I might want to bring Dialga against as a second Trick Room setter because they may have ways of bringing down my monkey. And yeah, it's just something I can do. I know the moveset looks really awful. The fact that I want to go for Aura Sphere and Flamethrower, I probably could drop one off. Quite frankly, I just started bringing Aura Sphere recently because I have been facing Regigigas quite often, and a lot of other meta Pokemon that's normal, dark type, these sorts of things. But I do want to use Steel Spike instead, Max Steel Spike instead. So probably Flash Cannon would be the better build, to be honest. It's also going to give me a damage boost, and I can't really use the attack boost as well. Sorry, it's going to give me a defense boost. So yeah, I can't really use the attack boost. But we've been just moving these skills around depending on where I am in the meta. So yeah, we are very low rank to be honest because I haven't been doing this in a long time. But it's fun regardless. So the monkey is one of the most important things here. It's gonna have a mental herb, inner focus, which means we can't flinch. We can't get taunted in the first turn unless the opponent does some weird shenanigans. So more than often, your opponent's always going to try to one-shot the monkey turn one. That's going to be their goal. So you're going to take that to your advantage and always use it in some way in the sense where your opponent is probably going to fake out your spare slot, so you can Dynamax it if you see the option. You want to Dynamax it as much as possible. And since we are, always threatening things like Incineroar, so we can definitely Dynamax one, two, three, even for possible Pokemons, against Incineroar, avoid the fake out and just KO them while the monkey tries to get his trick room off. And if it manages, great. More than often, monkey has no problem doing it. So it's something that's just there. Gastrodon's real focus is mostly just staying in the back. I don't bring my Gastrodon very often, but if it really needs to shine, it's only brought in against Kyogre teams because there's really no other water Pokemon that threatens the game like Kyogre. So if you go up against Saltfish combo, which is Station Kyogre, Gastrodon is one of the best options to always have in the back, but it is at a huge risk of taking a Behemoth Blade and just dying, so I had to pump a lot of defense into Gastrodon is also a plus defense Gastrodon, so it's not gonna be very offensive, but it is a great Pokemon to just stall the game long enough to get a bunch of yawns if possible. And it's one of the reasons why we don't really want to what do you call this? Use something like Max Lightning and then not be able to use our yawns because we have two Pokemons that rely on yawn. But I just wanted to make sure that we have the Max Lightning in case the opponent is going for something like a crazy Yawn Sleep Powder thing. So Dialga is able to get the Electric Terrain up with Safety Goggles and prevent its team from falling asleep if I need to do that. And if I do that, I just hope that I only have either one of these two Pokemon because they're not going to be able to yawn for the rest of the game. So this is just the way I worked around it, but it's been touch and go. So yeah, let's just go into the gameplay and I'll show you guys what it's all about. So here's one of our first games. So we're just gonna go take this really slow and make it easy for you guys. So this was the Sun team, Charcoal Venusaur, nothing out of the usual. I brought in the monkey and the Celesteela right away because I wanted to go for the Power Herb combo. I expected the G-Max Vine Lash and I knew that Venusaur's not going to threaten us. So I went for the Meteor Beam straight into the Charcoal because we haven't got Trick Room up, so we're actually faster than the Charcoal. And now we're going to be able to get the Trick Room. As you saw, the monkey is actually doing its job, which is great for us. So here we have the Kali Ice, and we want the monkey to die if we can, so we get a free switch in. So I go for the Dynamax, take advantage of the the attack boost, and I get a rock fall off onto Calyrex. That way I change the weather. So now Venusaur doesn't have the sun, which doesn't really make a big difference. But at least we Torkoal out of the way. We don't have to worry about the sun. If at all, Venusaur has something like a max, a solar beam, and not really solar beam, or weather ball, which is something we wanted to be careful of. So if we did have weather ball, we would have been in a bit of a risk, but it actually went for rockfall. I think predicting our own rockfall, either that or it doesn't have. I think this was the weather ball, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, this was the weather ball. So the fact that we went for rockfall, we actually defended ourselves against the max flare. But if we didn't get the rockfall off, then the sun would have stayed up, max flare would have killed us, and yeah, there would have been game over at that point actually. So here we get the max flare off finally onto the Venusaur to wipe it and teach it what a flare really looks like. We get our third boost, and Draco Meteor just one-shots Palkia. It's one thing that Palkia can't do against Dialga, which makes Dialga just so much better. So you may have noticed that I didn't really have the Dragon move um, on my Dialga because I've been just playing around with a bunch of moves, but I will be switching it in and out throughout the game. So yeah, Dialga is a really versatile Pokemon, and I don't really want to use it in one specific way. As for the rest of these Pokemon, there are a few, not so many variations to them, to be honest. Oranguru can go for something like Instruct or Yawn, which is quite scary if we are using a very powerful offensive Pokemon. As for Tyranitar, Brickbreak, maybe for high horsepower, that's about the only things I can think of changing. So here's the second match. The second match was so overall, I think in about 10 matches I lose about three. So it's about 60 to 70% win. Maybe I lose about three or four. There are counters to our game. There are Zacian like Swordfish combos that are just too strong for us to fight, and even Sun teams, that have learned to play around all of these shenanigans. So kind of scary. But this team was really weird and really unique. They were really going for something really scary. So this skill swap, right? This guy's skill swap and probably got a water compaction, which is the only thing I can think of because there's no other reason here, right? So water compaction, we get the U-turn off and we bring Dialga in. We get the Trick Room up, which is great for us. Regigigas comes in here, so we know it's gonna want to, skill swap into Regigigas. There's not really much we can do against it. We would have liked, to be able to get a KO there, but we went for the Wormwind into Regigigas because we need the damage to be in there. He gets the skill swap off, but now we pretty much have shut down the Regigigas, so I'm not too worried. And because of the skill swap, Regigigas is actually faster. So we are technically outspeeding it in Trick Room, which is great for us. So here's the ally switch, which is going to bite one turn. The Wormwind still kills the cat, but Regigigas is going to be able to do something here. So there's the Water Shuriken. Uh, Interesting. So with the water compaction, it gets a very high defense boost. Not sure what my opponent thought was going to help here. Like I get this whole interesting idea, but the defense boost is not going to help against Dialga, right? So a bit unfortunate. Opponent tried something really unique and pulled off. But I totally understand all these. This is just they were just playing for fun. There's really no game there, right? They're just like fooling around, I guess. So here's another game where we go up against what is a Swordfish team, right? So when I see the Incineroar Thundurus, I really was very worried about bringing Landorus in because I wasn't sure if it is Defiant Thunder. But anyway, we're gonna see what happens here. So I'm gonna protect, and it's gonna fake out into the Dialga. The taunt is protected, so that is something that I just wanted to be sure of. I flinch, but it doesn't really matter to us. It taunts the what do you call the Celesteela, which is fine. We get the Trick Room up with Dialga instead of the Oranguru, which is something that I guess went in our favor. We didn't really want I was worried about, it going for like Max Knuckle or something like that just to focus down my monkey, but they didn't really do that. I was also worried they would target Dialga, but I thought it's highly unlikely. They went for a fake out instead, and then yeah, we ended up in this turn. So in this turn, I had already targeted the Incineroar with Max Rockfall to my opponent's demise. They didn't really have any idea about this. So I went Meteor Beam first. Sorry, not Max Rockfall, Meteor Beam. And I'm going to get the Dynamax in the next turn. It's going to try to endure. So what I do here is I Max Rockfall the Thunderous. It's going to taunt the monkey, thinking the monkey's going to do something interesting. Um, I managed to check off the taunt within the same turn with the Mental Herb. But it didn't really matter because although I did yawn the Shedinja, I was just hoping that um, because they already revealed Focus Sash, right? So they don't have what do you call this? Um, they don't have safety goggles. So I was just hoping that they must switch it, but they didn't switch. You know, which is interesting. So we did get a yawn onto the Shedinja, but it doesn't really matter. Max Rockfall, and then the Sandstorm is just going to clean up the Shedinja, so that's great for us. So this is one of the best things about Sandstorm is that you don't really have Sash working in the game, and most of the Pokemon that do use Focus Sash don't really rely on Sandstorm, maybe except Tyranitar. So now we have Zacian Incineroar, which is really good matchup for us because the Celesteela walls both of them basically. Incineroar is kind of scary in the sense where it can get a Flare Blitz or something like that and then work down the Celesteela. But because we're in Trick Room, we are actually very comfortable here. So Fake Out into the Monkey doesn't really matter. We get the Yawn off and Max Flare. Zacian goes down in a one hit because we already have our Beast Boost, so that's great for us. Intimidate doesn't really matter for us either, so we're very, very, very special oriented here. And then we go for Max Rockfall, clean up the Incineroar, and we win this game. So this one is a very clean game, I would say. Um, I was surprised that the Kyogre didn't show up, but I sort of predicted it by not bringing the Gastrodon, so that worked really well in our favor. If the Kyogre did show up, we may be in a little bit of trouble, not gonna lie. So yeah, that would have been interesting if it did. But I don't think it matters too much. Actually, I'm not sure whether I did actually have the Gastrodon in the back for this game. I don't think so though. Yeah, I actually don't think I brought Gastrodon. I think the last Pokemon that I may have brought would be the Landorus, but I was just afraid of switching it in early on in the game or something like that. Yeah. Anyway, here's the next one. So this is another Sun team, but it has a Reshiram, which is quite scary. But we excel really well against teams like these, so I already had a feeling that it's going to be very well in our favor. I brought the Tyranitar in just to see if I can, take advantage of the fact that Yveltal can't really do anything against this, and the fact that the Dynamax Yveltal, it was really, really huge for us. Sure, the Max Darkness was really scary, but we just needed Dialga to get the Trick Room off, which works really well in our favor. And the fake out going to Tyranitar was brilliant for us. So now with the Trick Room, we actually get priority Rock Slide. I didn't want to Dynamax just yet because I think we were in a good spot. I wanted to see if, a Dialga goes down first. But the fact that our opponent actually targeted Tyranitar gave me a free extra turn here and an extra Rock Slide. And yeah, it's just a matter of time because we stalled out the Dynamax. Sure, Dialga goes down. All it did was Trick Room. And sure, Tyranitar goes down, but it's brought down, my opponent's 25%, set up the Sandstorm, and bought us a lot of time. So now it's just cleanup, right? It's just cleanup work. So Celesteela Landorus is going to be very straightforward. We Meteor Beam uh, into our Incineroar buddy because we don't want to get parting shotted. And we get a Beast Boost as well, and then we Rock Slide, just to be safe. Since we're still in Trick Room, we're always going to outspeed our opponents, which is great for us. So now Torkoal and Reshiram come in, and much to their demise, they're facing against two Pokemon who have rock moves. So I kind of knew they're going to probably protect the Reshiram here, so it doesn't really matter to us. We're still going to go for Max Rockfall, just to get rid of the Sun and bring the Sandstorm back in where we excel. So now, yeah, it's pretty much our game actually. We just got to go for Earthquakes, because, we are comfortable doing Earthquakes besides Celesteela. And the fact that we actually, survived the blue flare was quite interesting. But yeah, I didn't expect to actually manage this turn. Like this last turn of Trick Room was pretty intense, in the sense where Reshiram went for Protect here. And yeah, he got the yawn off against this. Max Rockfall, Reshiram survives. But here's the best part, right? Earthquake and Trick Room is over, right? So here's the thing. They blue flare into our Celesteela, which survives, but doesn't really matter because Earthquake is going to outspeed Torkoal, and then we get rid of both of them. So I'm not really sure if my opponent could have done anything differently to win this game, which is what I was thinking of, like in their perspective, what they could have really done. But it didn't really seem like they had many options. So yeah, it's a bit unfortunate for them. They really worked around like a very specific counter team. I guess it would have countered other Sun teams really well. Maybe even a Rain team, but I not mine. So yeah. All right, here's a what do you call this? A very unique team that I faced actually. So I always assume that Dugtrio has Arena Trap, which is the way I see it. If you play on the Switch, you will know if the opponent has Arena Trap when you try to switch your Pokemon. It'll actually give you a warning. I'm honestly not sure how it works in this game. I can't remember because I have not tried to switch out during Arena Trap in a while because it's not very common. But seeing the Dugtrio, I kind of just believe that Arena Trap would be the game here. I brought the Dialga in just to give myself a chance of a double Trick Room threat just to scare my opponent. But the fact that they actually Memento there was very interesting. So sure, they nerf our Dynamax Pokemon. We get the Trick Room up. We managed to get Electric Terrain going with the Thunder, but yeah, with a massive attack drop, it wasn't really very much in our favor. Foul Play actually did so much in the Calyrex. I was really shocked. So the Monkey actually did so much work there. And Max Flare actually into Calyrex. Unfortunate that he didn't, do anything much, but it brings the sun up, which is good for us because that's going to weaken up Kyogre. Bring Celesteela in, and it's going to go for a Meteor Beam. Obviously, we outspeed everything in Trick Room here. So I was honestly a little bit impressed by the fact that we outsped the Calyrex there. But I think it's a max speed Calyrex perhaps, just to be able to fit well in the Kyogre team. So that was kind of interesting. We had to go for a Wormwind here, which is not very good for us. Ice Beam doesn't really do much into me, so wasn't too afraid. This is actually a single strike Urshifu, right? Yeah, it's a single strike Urshifu. It's not a rapid strike one. So this was interesting. I did not expect this Pokemon to show up, but here we go. Here's the Gastrodon that we finally reveal when Kyogre is near death. We managed to resist the Thunder, which, thankfully is the case. I'm not sure what my opponent was thinking going for a Thunder there. That was interesting decision making. Um, yeah, I mean, what else could it have been, right? Landorus would have been able to resist Thunder. Tyranitar, I guess they just thought that they might want to be lucky with a Paralyze into Dialga. That's probably what they were betting. But here comes the Max Knuckle, which is something we can take because of our high defense. The Sun is still strong, so water attacks are not really going to threaten us. We get rid of the Kyogre, and now the Gastrodon's use is kind of limited. So we take the Max Knuckle there reasonably well. I thought we might have died there, honestly. We should have died. But the fact that we didn't and Gastrodon takes it instead was really good for us because we have a really high special attack boost. I'm not sure what Urshifu's, the guy was thinking. They could have just knocked out my Celesteela instead. But they go for the Dialga and then Celesteela with a massive boost just takes out Urshifu. So yeah, I think it was pretty close to be honest. Yeah. Uh, if my opponent got rid of the Celesteela, which had all the boosts, right? They may have had a slight chance. I'm not sure how exactly to work around it. But yeah, that was probably the way they could have played around that game. So here's the last interesting one that I have for today. There's one or two that I lost, but not very interesting, unfortunately. Like we did lose, but it's a pretty predictable loss. Like it's just Zacian or Kyogre doing straight up Zacian or Kyogre things. Pretty much that's like the ultimate metagame right now, Zacian Kyogre, and I hope that when Magearna all shows up, everything's gonna change. So let me just slow down this game a little bit. So we got the Intimidate off in the first turn. Grimmsnarl got the Reflect. Station goes with Behemoth Blade, which we managed to take. We go for the U-turn just to bring the Celesteela in, just to change things up. I would have wanted to just switch into the Celesteela there. Honestly, I should have just done that instead of U-turning. I'm not sure what I was thinking. But we did manage to get Trick Room up, and we wanted to just rotate our Landers. I think that was my idea. I just wanted to make sure that I could U-turn and just rotate it into another Intimidate because I don't think Landorus, would have posed enough of a threat in this game as I would like, especially considering the Reflect goes up. It's just the way it is. So I think Intimidate, yeah, would have probably been a reasonable idea as well here. Although I would have liked to keep my Landorus in the game. Probably should have just Dynamax there the first turn. That would have really gone well for us. So we get paralyzed here, which is really scary. Um, but thankfully we got the meteor beam off, and we got the boost, which is great for us. We lose our Landorus, but opponent is now what do you call this? Intimidated twice, so they are at -1. So Tyranitar actually could take a Behemoth Blade, I think. We go for the Max Flare. We don't do enough, but we get the Sun up, and with the high horsepower from Tyranitar, which outspeeds them, thankfully, we get rid of the Zacian. So after this, right, I actually switched things up for Tyranitar. I actually went for Brick Break instead of high horsepower. I would have liked to keep high horsepower, except I started to see an increase all of a sudden of what do you call this? Certain Pokemon like I don't know, certain dark types, I guess, normal types, dark types, Regigigas. What else? Yeah, basically those things. Although I think high horsepower is just better, but the screens is another problem. I do want to be able to counter the screens, so yeah. But at this point, we did have high horsepower, so that was great for us. So Charizard goes for the Dynamax. So I'm betting here on my paralysis. I have to get the Rockfall off, which I do, thankfully. No paralysis, so that's a free Rockfall. Well, that's what you get for relying on, things that are not really reliable, like Thunder Wave. But yeah, it goes in our favor. We get the Rock Slide, which is great for us. We also get a weakness policy boost thanks to the Grimmsnarl. So this is what I mean by my opponent just they don't expect the weakness policy. They see all of these powerful attackers and they think that T-Tar is obviously focus sashed, so they don't really predict the weakness policy, which is great for us. We use Max Steel Spike here just to get the defense boost. This is something that I also changed up on my. Wait, no, Celesteela still has Flash Cannon. It's just the Dialga doesn't have Steel Spike. So yeah, this is great for us. We get the defense boost up for both our Pokemon, which means we definitely can survive whatever is coming. So we do survive the Precipice Blades really, really well actually here, which is great for us. So we used Tyranitar to protect her because Celesteela is not going to take any damage, and I think this is pretty much game here. We just had to, work the crowd on. So I bring Oranguru here just to be annoying, because my opponent, doesn't want to give up. So kudos to them for trying to put up a fight, which is great. Nice to see. But yeah, this was pretty much well in my favor. So I do have a few more matches that I could pull up actually. Just give me a sec. All right, so take note, these are some matches that took place after we got wiped a few times by some teams. So I may have changed up some of my skills. I can't really recall, but this is like a set of newer matches basically. So anyway, this is the first team we're gonna face. This is a very very unique team. This is a Kyurem team, which I'm really really terrified against. Kyurem White is really really scary. It's a good thing that Kyurem White doesn't work very well against our specific team because it's so unique. Um, yeah, and with the Ante and all that, I was really interested to see what the Ante could possibly bring, but I didn't expect them to actually bring the Ante into the game, although I think they did actually, to be honest. So they bring Zash in here, which is just I mean, how much more Uber can Uber be, right? This is like one of the two of the scariest Pokemons in the game, probably. I don't know. I mean, probably, right? So having Landorus here was really, really good in the sense where we could put Intimidate pressure, but also, we could just threaten them with the fact that we're going to be probably Dynamaxing here. So Oranguru's job is very simple, but I'm not sure he's going to be able to fulfill it. So Freeze Dry one-shots me, which is great because we don't go for the Dynamax. I was really considering it, and then I thought maybe they might go for my Monkey, and I could just U-turn away or I could switch out. But it is a very rare prediction that I had to make because I was worried they might just double up into my Landorus with a Behemoth Blade instead. So I didn't want to bring in anything else. I thought, you know what, let's lose the Landorus if that's what's gonna be. So we lose the Landorus, we get B-bladed, but we survive obviously. We Trick Room, bring Celesteela in, and we bring Dialga in, which is great for us. So we go for the Max Flare here and get a Sun going. Behemoth Blade is something Dialga can take all day. Freeze Dry also. So it's great for us that we tanked both these. But here comes the Kyurem Dynamax, which came in a little bit late. Interesting decision, but I go for the Steel Spike to get the defense boost on both my Pokemon. And Flamethrower from Dialga unfortunately was protected. Max Flare unfortunately went into my Celesteela, and I thought that that might be bad for us. But the interesting thing is that the Zacian went for the protect. If the Zacian didn't protect in that turn and was a little bit more aggressive, that could have gone in their favor. But the fact that the Zacian protected, it really went against them. So that was interesting. Very, very interesting turn. I think this was the turn, right? Dynamax, and then here comes the protect. So Max Steel Spike into the Kyurem, and that's the flamethrower. So, yeah, probably, yeah, okay, fair enough. The protect did go in their favor in some sense, and yeah, but they couldn't really get any knockouts, and neither could we. So I think it was okay in the sense we got the defense boost instead. So, yeah, we got the Max Steel Spike. Kieran went for the protect, which was, I mean, absolutely fine. I think it was one way or the other. At least we get the Zacian out of the game, and Kyurem is under threat. It cannot, it's Dynamax. It doesn't really have many options, and we are well guarded here behind the fact that we have the Trick Room, which is the last turn, so I gotta be really careful here. The Fake Out goes into my Dialga. I think I was preparing to just attack because there's still Trick Room. I have no reason to go for Trick Room in Trick Room because I'll move too fast and it wouldn't really work that way. But here we get a chance to go for the Meteor Beam into the Kyurem, which should one-shot it. That's brilliant. We get our Beast Boost as well and our White Herb Boost. So here comes the Rillaboom and the Sun's up, which is interesting. So what do you call this? This is from the Max Flare, so the Sun's still going. But yeah, anyway, Grassy Glide goes into Dialga. Sucker Punch goes into Shiny. If the Grassy Glide went into Celesteela, they might have got a KO, maybe, because I'm not really, uh, invested very high in my defense. I'm a special defense invested, but it is possible, despite the defense boost, that I might have gone down. But we get to use the Sun to our advantage and get the Flamethrower off here, so we get a free kill there. Trick Room goes up, which is brilliant for us because Grimmsnarl can't do anything against Dialga here, so we won't win the battle here quite clean. And I think this was a really, really good win in our favor. So yeah, this is a very, very tough match to be honest. My opponent really did play well. I think it was just the timing of certain things. And yeah, they didn't bring the Entei. I was gonna say I thought they brought the Entei in, but yeah, looks like they didn't. And they didn't really have many ways to threaten my Celesteela, which was, yeah, I think in my favor. If they did bring the Regieleki, however, that would have been interesting because they did manage to get my Landorus off the game in turn one. So if they brought the Regieleki, it might have been a different game because I didn't really have many other ways of resisting it. I relied on the Landorus to make sure that Regieleki doesn't come in, and that happened, which was lucky. But if it did come in, that would have been bad for us. So yeah, I think that would have actually been an interesting thing, to see. But they wanted to bring Zacian instead, and Zacian, I don't know, I think it had its moment, but not very strong in this game. So yeah, that's just the way I see it. So here's the next one. This one is the actually what? Oh yeah, this was the Sand team. I was actually very excited about this guy. So yeah, it's actually yeah, this guy's nice to chat with as well. I was really excited because it's very rare to see another Sandstorm team, and this is the Dracovish Zerkozol team, which is obviously going to switch in the Tyranitar. So I didn't want to bring in my own T-Tar here because I didn't want to help them set up the sand. I'm not that kind, to be honest. But here comes the Fish's Rend, which is terrifying because against my Dynamax Landorus, it still does so much damage. Max Quake unfortunately doesn't get the KO there. I would have liked it to, but I think this Tyranitar is well invested in its defense, so that's fair enough. We managed to get the Trick Room up, which is great for us now, because that means we should be able to get a Foul Play first to get rid of the Tyranitar, and we go for another Max Quake, just to get another special defense boost, because we don't really want to waste our Dynamax here. And I was worried that the Fish's Ren might put us in very close of range of KO, but looks like it still gave us a little bit of HP because we switched the weather to, it's Trick Room, right? So in Trick Room, Dracovish is actually slower than us. So what do you call this? Fish's Ren does more damage if you outspeed your opponent. So because it's slower than us, it didn't really have enough damage to do against um, what do you call this? Landorus. And because of Sandstorm, Dracovish is actually faster, and so that makes it even slower in Trick Room, which is brilliant for us. So here comes Excadrill. So this team is great outside Trick Room, right? This team operates really well outside Trick Room. So the monkey is really, really important for me, and I had to be really careful of that. They go for a double protect here, and I just wanted to yawn and see what happens. So they defend against the Max Quake. We get a third defense boost. And I don't think it really matters because our opponent is very physical oriented. I realized that all these special defense boosts is going to amount to nothing. So I guess the max quick was just for the sake of getting the damage off because I didn't really have many options on Landorus to be honest. What, Airstream? I'm not gonna do that, right? So Rockfall doesn't really do anything either. Might have been able to do some damage to Dracovish. But yeah, I think the Quake was probably the best option just to get the Excadrill in some KO range. So here comes Celesteela. I wanted to keep the monkey alive because I was really worried for that earthquake, which did happen, right? So that earthquake was actually huge. Um, yeah, yeah, because it managed to get the Excadrill, out of the game. Dracovish very, very low, and Celesteela doesn't care about Earthquake, so it's a good way to get the monkey out, keep it for later, get the Earthquake running, and then we lose the Landorus. So that was very good for us. Now the Dracozold and Dracovish come in. Sandstorm is still up for one more turn. We go for the Earth Power from the Gastrodon, and we go for Meteor Beam into the Dracovish. It does protect, but we do manage to get the boost up, which is great for us. So now I was a little bit worried in the sense where our opponent actually has their Dynamax, and we don't have Trick Room. So we might lose the Celesteela, which is something we probably have to live with here. They actually have Leech Life, which is very interesting. I'm not sure where it came from. But I decided, you know what, let's just lose the Celesteela if we have to, uh, because we can bring the monkey in a little safer. And I think it's very, very important because we do want to get our Trick Room up at all cost here. Thankfully, we can survive all of this, which is great for us. We get the Trick Room going, and now it's pretty much our game, right? So here's the Earth Power that takes out the Dracozold for us, which is really good. Foul Play, just in Dracovish, just to clean things up. It's good that we use Foul Play because Dracovish attack is high, although it's pretty tanky. Ice Beam, Foul Play, just clean it up, and we win this game. So that was actually a pretty interesting game. I like the opponent's team, very, very interesting, very focused. It's physical, it's Sandstorm, it's fast. It's basically it, right? I mean, I think it would really be interesting to see that pulled up against some Sun team and just absolutely wreck them. I'm not sure how he performs against Rain teams. I think Dracozold and Tapu Koko do pose some threat. But with Zacian, I don't know. Like Zacian is just too scary against Tapu Koko, against Dracovish. Probably the Excadrill would threaten Zacian, I guess. Something to think about in the Saltfish meta. All right, so here's another one. Yeah, I just got a few more. I think I got another 6 more games to show, but yeah, it's just one after the other. It's what's been happening, guys. This is what's been happening. So here we go. Um, Zacian and Whimsicott. So this is a Sun team. It's a Whimsicott Sun team. So Whimsicott's probably going to go for the Sunny Day here. I wanted to see if I could take advantage of this, but I was a little bit worried. And when I saw the helping hand, I knew that this is going to be a horrible, horrible decision because, yeah, Station is Wild Charge. Yeah, so not the standard set. This was definitely a Zacian that wanted to counter opponent Kyogres, and it used its speed really, really well. But guess what? That means we get a free Trick Room. That's right. So we bring Dialga in here and bring Tyranitar in. So we get the Sandstorm going for us, just to give Zacian a target. We want to tell Zacian, please attack Tyranitar, right? Because Zacian can't Dynamax. It has very few options here. So they bring in the Charizard, um, and I was surprised. I thought they might go for something like a Sunny Day, but they actually brought in the Charizard, and I'm not sure why. Um, oh, okay, okay. I think they saw the sun in the earlier turn, right? So let me just make sure of this. Wild charge. Okay, that's gone. Trick room, Dialga. No, actually, they don't care. They just bring the Charizard in. So yeah, I thought they'd be looking for the sun or something, but they didn't. So I go for the Dialga Dynamax here. Into the Max Flare, into the Zacian. That's gonna be a one shot. That's great for us. We do get the sun up for the solar power, but we don't really care, to be honest. We get chip damage on Charizard, and I don't think the flare is going to do anything much to us. But we are probably going to eat a Dynamax Charizard, which is something I predicted. So this was interesting for us in the sense where we know we outspeed our opponent. We bait the Charizard into a Gigantamax. I I'm not sure if the Calyrex would have posed a different kind of threat here, but the only option here was the Gigantamax Charizard. Although I expected them to go for a Max Guard in the first turn, they didn't go for the Max Guard. That Rock Slide did so much damage, and we go for the Max Lightning, cleans out the Charizard, gets Electric Terrain, which doesn't really matter, but here comes Whimsicott. We take the Astral Barrage like an absolute champ because Tyranitar doesn't care. Moonblast is going to trigger my weakness policy, which is hilarious because I'm sure they didn't expect that. Go for Max Flare into Whimsicott. We take advantage of the sun as much as we can. Our opponent is surprisingly weak to the sun, despite being a team that may rely on the sun. Zacian, Whimsicott, like, yeah, the only Pokemon that actually resists the sun here, like fire attacks, is Charizard, so it doesn't really play well in their favor. So the Foul Play did so much damage. I was actually terrified as to how high this Calyrex attack is because, yeah, I mean, Foul Play depends on your opponent's attacks, that not mine, but it does depend on our attack boost. So because we have weakness policy activated, it takes the opponent's attack stat, takes our boost into account, and then does the Foul Play. So that was amazing. The fact that the Focus Sash brought it down super, super low. So I just switch out the monkey, just to take the Astral Barrage because the monkey doesn't care. Dialga goes for Deco Meteor just to clean things up, and GG. That's it. It's a good, decent game. So I don't know. This is a very in between meta team. I think our opponent tried to build a team specifically to counter something like, I don't know, maybe opponent's sun teams or rain teams. Didn't really go in their favor, to be honest, but I like the fact that they went for some variety, or those stations just there everywhere. So yeah, here's another Zacian game. So this is just me countering Zacian teams, basically. Zacian Kyogre every single game, and my job is just beating them, basically. Like, quite frankly, if I lose to a team that's not Zacian Kyogre, I honestly don't care. Like, sure, I'm glad you won because you outplayed me. But if it's Zacian Kyogre and you win, nah, no, man. I just gotta find my way back into that kind of game, you know? So the Tailwind goes up, Water Spout, which the monkey survives. Holy crap. Like, if our opponent got a crit there, this game would have gone so much in their favor. So much. Um, but the Whimsicott going for the Tailwind means we're in a really good spot because after this Flare, which brings the sun back up for us, we're going to get Trick Room, which is really good in our favor. So the opponent brings Incineroar, which doesn't really matter for us, because we can totally control that. We go for another Flare just to get rid of the Whimsicott because we I do believe the Incineroar is definitely going to switch out here. So I think it's going to go for Parting Shot. No, wait, it didn't go for Parting Shot, did it? Oh no, no, it just switched in, right? Wait, what did the Incineroar do? Oh, it goes for Fake Out. Wait, is that what it did? Sorry, let me just understand what happened here. Incineroar comes in, does the Intimidate. I do the Yawn. You do the Flare. And you do the Fake Out? What do you do? Fake Out. Very strange. The Incineroar for some reason didn't get a turn here. Oh, because it. Oh, okay, okay, okay. So it was switched within that turn. It switched first, though. Oh, that's a really interesting switch. Because Kyogre is so fast, right? So they actually switch out first. Oh, right, right. I love Trick Room, guys. I love Trick Room. So, sure, the Fake Out gets rid of the monkey. Fake Out wouldn't have made me flinch, but it just kills the monkey, so that's fine. We go for the Max Rockfall into the Incineroar, get rid of the Rain one more time, bring the Sandstorm back up, just to tell our opponent that we are in control. We survived the Origin Pulse thanks to the Sandstorm. Because there's no rain, so we can take that. The fact that the Kyogre is still so much, in terms of health, I was a little bit afraid of the what do you call this? What's the other move that it goes for? Water Spout. But thankfully they didn't go for that. I think if they Water Spouted, we might have died, to be honest. But the fact that they went for the Origin Pulse, predicting we might attack Kyogre or something, was in our favor. So yeah, it's 50-50. I think we'll take it. So here comes the Zapdos Dynamax, which is pretty scary. Thankfully, we're in Trick Room, so if we go for the Meteor Beam, we get a one-shot on the Zapdos, which is super cool. And the Thunder into the Kyogre from Dialga, which is something I really wanted. Like, this is one of the reasons why I ran Thunder on Dialga. It does so much damage, and if it's Rain, it can't miss, and it has a very high chance of Paralyze. We're lucky we actually hit the Thunder, which, does weaken the Origin Pulse. No, sorry, it doesn't weaken the Origin Pulse, but yeah, just does a lot of damage. And unfortunately, no para, but doesn't really matter. Last turn, Trick Room. Landress comes in, goes for the Protect, doesn't really matter. You go for another Thunder, they're waiting off Trick Room. You go for a Fly, which is something that I'm not sure whether they thought about, but the moment they see the Fly, they just forfeit the game, so it's GG. Yeah. So our opponent's best bet there was to wait out the Trick Room and hopefully, you know, go for another Origin Pulse. But yeah, that's basically how Kyogre games go. I was just surprised Zacian didn't come along in this game. Uh, I really thought Zacian would be somewhere at the back, but when I saw the Zapdos, I was like, okay, great. So what? Zapdos counters Celesteela, and that's about it. It doesn't do anything else against the rest of my team. So yeah, that went really well. I used to run Zapdos in the team as well, the safety goggles, but I dropped it in the favor of the second Trick Room setter. Like Dialga does so much work for me, just being able to survive and set Trick Room should the monkey go down, which is rare, by the way, but the monkey can get killed. So all right, here comes the Dynamax first turn. So one thing I love about what do you call this evil tall players is that when they see the monkey, all they think is attack monkey, right? Evil tall sees monkey, attack monkey. So if you know your opponent has evil tall, you just have to park a Pokemon like Celesteela. And the only reason I Dynamaxed here is because I'm not sure. Wait, can Sneasel run Fake Out? I think it can, right? Give me a sec. Okay, yeah, so it actually seemed like I was afraid of the fake out from the Sneasel into the Celesteela, which is why I didn't go for the Meteor Beam. I instead went straight into the Dynamax here. So Sneasel goes for Foul Blade into the monkey, and Dark Pulse into the monkey. And yes, they get the monkey off the field, which is great, right? So Yveltal is one of those Pokemon that can definitely kill Oranguru. I think even by itself, it could possibly have done almost enough damage. But the Sneasel guarantees it, which is great. So yeah, but the fact that I managed to Dynamax here for free and get the max Rockfall off into the Yveltal turn one, get the Sandstorm up, which means Yveltal is pretty much out of the game, right? So I get the Landorus in here just to see if I can bait the Sneasel into doing some ice move. I switch into the Tyranitar. I take the Dark Pulse like a champ, doesn't really matter here. It dies, and I go for another Rockfall into the Sneasel. I was really surprised that the Sneasel went for a foul play into the Landorus. I was expecting an ice move, but now that I think about it, I think the Sneasel didn't run any ice moves. It is possible that the Sneasel doesn't have any ice moves, which is interesting. Um, but yeah, it's just interesting because I don't have Trick Room up, so it would have been the fastest thing on the field. But the fact that it went for foul play instead was also interesting. But it doesn't really matter. So Zacian comes in with Incineroar, which is a really good opponent lineup for us. So Zacian's obviously biggest target is Tyranitar here, and Incineroar is going to go for the Celesteela, so it's pretty obvious here. I switch out into Landorus to get the Intimidate, just to see if I can tank the Behemoth Blade here, which we do manage to. Flare Blitz into the Celesteela, well predicted. Unfortunately, we get a burn, but it doesn't really matter because we're special, we're not physical. So Max Flare is going to be able to kill the Zacian pretty much. I'm surprised Zacian survived. Like it's built really well to take on the Max Flare there. It's built really, really well, I must say. So we do get the sun up now. And the fact that we moved last works really well in our favor because if we moved first, I think that the Flare Blitz would have been very much in Incineroar's favor there, and they could have doubled down into the Celesteela. But the fact that Zacian went for the Tyranitar bait was really good for us. So yeah, now we're not Dynamax anymore, but they forfeited the game, so we pretty much won. I think my opponent may still have had a chance here, because they still do outspeed us. Um, yeah, and we only have a Tyranitar in the back. Which is, I mean, it's okay, right? The Tyranitar is full life, sure, yeah, but um, yeah, I'm actually surprised about the decision here. I think the best bet here, honestly, would have been to double down into the Celesteela. Um, but yeah, Landorus is a reasonable threat. So I guess they were just afraid of the Landorus here, and they forfeited. Yeah, but they could definitely KO my Landorus. Um, if they believe I don't have protect, which I don't, to be honest. So they could still use the sun, get the flare blitz, get the Landorus down, um, and they both survive, honestly, against my Tyranitar, which they could still one-shot. So I'm not sure why my opponent forfeited here. They could have won this game, to be honest. I think they could have won this game. Uh, so yeah, that was interesting. We actually lost this game, guys. Not sure why the opponent left. Maybe they thought they already won, so they just like whatever. You're not worth fighting anymore. All right, so this was a really cool team. Dermanitan. Um, so yeah, Dermanitan Calyrex was really cool for us. We sort of, really wanted this to be in our favor in the sense where we wanted the Tyranitar to be in the back, always lurking, to be able to bring the Sandstorm in. So unfortunately, we get the burn here from the Flare Blitz, turn one. Imprison is going to prevent our Trick Room, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is. So, we sort of take advantage of the fact that they're obviously going to switch out the Calyrex. There's no reason for the Calyrex to remain. And their Manitan probably doesn't want to stare down against the Tyranitar. So we take that, we note that they're definitely going to bring the Zacian in, which is, very predictable. Any player that has Zacian wants Zacian. Zacian is just one of the most powerful Pokemon. I think the most powerful right now in terms of the format. So I predict the Zacian coming in. I bring in the Landorus. Thankfully, we are still slow, so we get the Intimidate. And we get the Yawn off into Zacian, which means they do want to switch Zacian here. So this is something that I'm betting on. I go for the Dynamax, and I try to call the fact that they might switch out Zacian here, but they don't. They go for the Sacred Sword, thinking that they could do damage to the monkey, but the monkey survives. The Airstream um, KOs the Whimsicott, and the Sandstorm, so Whimsicott doesn't really have much of a chance. There's no possibility of a Sash protecting it. But the interesting thing here is the fact that wait, Monkey went for the Yawn there. They imprisoned. Wait, they imprisoned earlier, right? Yeah, they imprisoned earlier. So once they switched out the Calyrex, the monkey is free to go for the Trick Room, and this is where my game starts. So the fact that they didn't switch out the Zacian was a huge mistake on my opponent's part. I really didn't understand why they didn't switch out the Zacian. That's basically me winning the game. So we go for a second Yawn here, and the Max Quake is a free kill for us, honestly. I mean, yeah, that was really free, just a free one for us. But the Icicle Crash sort of scared me, not gonna lie. That was a little bit scary. Um, but we do bring the Dialga in here against this Calyrex. And now our opponent knows that we don't have, we don't have a huge threat against the Germanitan because we don't have our Celesteela. But with the Dialga here, they're definitely afraid. So they go for the Dynamax Germanitan. And we go for Flamethrower. They're trying to protect it as much as they can. We get the burn, so it's burn for a burn, right? They burned our Tyranitar, we burned back their Manitan, which is huge for us. They go for the Max Flare here, but thankfully, wait. Yeah, why did they go for the Max Flare? I have no idea why they went for a Max Flare there. That's very interesting decision making. Astral Barrage here, not gonna do anything. The monkey, Dialga takes a lot of damage, which is huge. But thankfully we survive. 2 turns of Trick Room left. I bring in the Tyranitar. Go for the Flamethrower, get the KO on the Darmanitan, and now it's just Calyrex. Dialga doesn't survive that. But with the Tyranitar and the Oranguru, Calyrex doesn't stand a chance. This is a free win for us. Unfortunately, our opponent couldn't cycle the way out of the sleep, and we just had to go for a double fall play to get the victory there. So yeah, you can see why Calyrex doesn't really Shadow Rider Calyrex just does not work against this team. Even Ice Rider Calyrex struggles against this team. Just because of Tyranitar, I guess. Tyranitar is actually doing work, and so is Oranguru. I would say Oranguru does a lot of the heavy lifting. The fact that it always shows up, gets its job done, and then yeah, that's pretty much it. Then it's fine to eat a banana if it wants. So, yep, here's one of our last 3 games for today. This has been quite long actually. This is me covering up for all the videos that I've been missing out in the past 2 weeks. So I hope this is sufficient content for you guys because I mean, I'm not able to run ads on my videos, I think. because I'm not monetized. Um, but yeah, if you guys are still getting ads, it's YouTube's fault. So blame YouTube. Here we go. Just subscribe if you guys have not, because I think that's important to me in some way. I'm not really sure. Probably I'll be wondering about it the next few years. So we switch out the Calyrex here. No, sorry, the Celesteela here right away because I didn't want to eat the Water Spout. I think I was worried about Water Spout or Origin Pulse here. And knowing the Kyogre, they definitely want to go for it because they're not afraid of Celesteela in any way. And although I threatened the Clefairy, I think my opponent wanted to take advantage of that. So the helping hand was what terrified me, and I realized that's what they're going for. Thankfully, it was an Ice Beam, and thankfully Gastrodon survived, which is huge for us. The monkey gets a free Trick Room off. We go for a Protect there, and yeah, there's a Water Spout, which almost takes out the monkey. Not sure why we protected. Like, I was worried they might go for a second Ice Beam there, um, you know, which most likely should have been their play. But they went for a Water Spout thinking that they might be able to kill the monkey, I think. Or maybe they thought I'll switch out the Gastrodon. Yeah, I think that was their thought. They thought they might have switched out the Gastrodon. But the fact that a monkey survived here is actually quite huge. So Tyranitar is able to come in for a switch. We get a Sandstorm up. We don't have to worry about the rain anymore. Um, and then the Cataract Shadow is coming in. Follow me in the Clefairy. I'm going to be able to yawn it, keep it in control, which is great for us. Monkey goes down from our own Sandstorm, which is really good because that gives us a free switch in. So in some ways, you do want to allow the monkey to die if it needs to, because once it's done its job, having it on the field is just also a problem. Although foul play would have gone in our favor against the Calyrex, but um, yeah, monkey didn't really do much. So here's something really fun. Let me show you guys. Right, Charizard comes in, Kyogre comes back in. They get the rain back up. We actually go for a Tyranitar Dynamax. Did you guys know? Did you guys know? So this is really cool. I don't normally Dynamax Tyranitar, but I had a feeling that this might actually be one of our best chances here. Few reasons. The Okay, you know what? Let me just show you guys what happens, right? So we go for the Dynamax. We get the Meteor Beam that gets the KO on the Charizard, which is great for us. We use the Tyranitar to change. No, wait. Oh, okay. We go for Max Darkness first, right? We didn't know the Kyogre will stay in, but that's great. Origin Pulse does so much damage to us. We have one turn of Trick Room left. It gives us the what do you call this, weakness policy boost, and we max Rockfall back into a Sandstorm here, and we Flash Cannon to get rid of the Clefairy, which worked really well in our favor. Now here comes the Calyrex Shadow Rider. So this is a huge thing. I was really not sure what the Calyrex Shadow could do from here, but we went for a max guard, and it went for an Astral Barrage. Um, yeah, which is pretty much the only expected way, and we just Flash Cannon to kill it. So I would have liked to be able to keep the Tyranitar in to fight the Calyrex, but my opponent just chickened out to keep the Kyogre there. Which is understandable. A Kyogre player wants to keep their Kyogre in at all times because it's like the best Pokemon in the game. So yep, of course, why not? So this is a really fun looking team, honestly. This is the kind of teams that we want to see, right? It's not always Station, Kyogre, Groudon, Charizard, or Venusaur. We want to have like some variety in the game as well. This is really fun. I saw the Raichu Lapras. I knew it's most likely going to be Gmax Lapras, which is great for us because that'll be interesting to learn and practice around. Because Lapras obviously has moves that are both good against us, and it's also weak to a lot of our moves. So very interesting team to go up against. But here we go. Raichu Lapras comes out first. So normally, if you're facing Lapras, it's a very high chance that the Resonance goes up turn one. Very, very high chance because they want to stall the game and they want to stall our Dynamax, which is pretty much their mission, right? So Monkey takes a fake out here. Uh, I'm not sure what the opponent was thinking because the fake out doesn't matter, right? Like into the monkey at all, ever. So we go for Meteor Beam into Lapras. We get the boost. Monkey gets a Trick Room off. And this guy's shocked that I'm running Inner Focus or Ranguru. I mean, the options are Inner Focus, Telepathy, Symbiosis, right? So I found this really hilarious that my opponent was shocked. I mean, I understand the shock a little bit, but I mean, dude, obviously you want a Trick Room setter that's going to be able to survive Fake Out, right? So yeah, Oranguru is the best. So here's my max Rockfall. Eat that, right, you? I did not expect the switch there, actually. Wait, was that a switch? Okay, so I expected a switch there from the Raichu, but the fact that they didn't switch sort of turned out in my favor. I thought they might switch, so I went for the Rockfall into the what do you call this? The Raichu instead of the Lapras. I thought they might max guard or something because they might want to just stall out my Dynamax. But here's the thing: I get the Drowsy off, and I get the max Rockfall into the Raichu. I get the Sandstream going, I mean Sandstorm going. But here's the thing: the Lapras didn't protect. They actually go for another Resonance into Monkey. And Raichu uses Volt Switch into Celesteela, which is fine. Monkey's going to go down from the Sandstorm, which is great for us, so we get a free switch in again. So this has been sort of the theme, I think, in a few games where Monkey just dies by itself, and it's great for us in some way. Now we go for another Max Rockfall into the Lapras, just because it's their last turn of Dynamax, and I definitely thought that they wouldn't wanna protect. Although if they protected, it would have gone bad for us. We miss it on the Ho-Oh, but the Lapras definitely knew that they could take it, and they go for a G-Max to clean up the Landorus, which is really unfortunate. I thought there is a chance that they might not survive it, but yeah, it's Lapras, man. It's just so tanky. So Landorus going down was huge for us. I initially didn't want to bring the Landorus, but yeah, eventually I ended up making that horrible decision. I think Landorus was really bad for us. It didn't really do much, and the fact that it was Lapras, I think I should have just played it a little bit safer. But you know what? I like this team the opponent's playing, so whatever. So now Dialga comes in. We go for another max Rockfall, this time into the Ho-Oh. No reason to be afraid there. Ho-Oh just goes down. There's really nothing they can do against it. Thunderbolt cleans up the Lapras. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Xerneas comes in and with Raichu. So this part was a little bit scary. I'm not sure whether Xerneas posed too much of a threat. But they have the free Fake Out. I don't have a way to protect. We get rid of the Raichu with the Flamethrower just to be safe. We could have gone for some damage into Xerneas, but I did not want the Raichu threatening my Celesteela because I don't think Xerneas had anything against Celesteela. It was definitely the Raichu, if any, Pokemon that could threaten my Celesteela. And the fact that the Trick Room was off means the Raichu would have been able to Thunderbolt or something and get rid of Celesteela. And the fact that we survived there from the Moonblast, which we should, we're Celesteela, right? Turns out huge in our favor because we get a flash cannon off and we get a trick room up from Dialga, which means we definitely win the game now with the second flash cannon. So that's really good. So it was very interesting in the sense where I don't think my Dialga had what do you call this? Any steal attacks in this game, right? So my opponent didn't even get to find out if I had a flash cannon or something like that. Because I just used the Celesteela so well, and the fact that he managed to survive at times really worked in our favor. So that's great. So here's the last game for today. As we, barely crossed the 1 hour mark on the video, which is great. I love making these long videos. So yeah, here's the last one. So this one is a Kyogre Calyrex team. So this one is a little bit scary in the sense where I want to have my Tyranitar, but we know Kyogre is coming in, right? We know Kyogre is in the back because as I said, anyone who has a Kyogre wants to bring the Kyogre. There's no reason for them not to. So I thought that most likely the Regieleki might not be in this game, um, which is the best thing I can hope for. I go for the Dialga Dynamax here, which, you know, most likely would be the best idea. So the monkey has the Mental Herb, shakes off the taunt. Astral Barrage doesn't do anything against monkey once again. Dialga takes it very well. We go for the Max Flare into the Whimsicott, and it's sashed, obviously. We get the Trick Room up, which is great for us. We switch it into the Tyranitar, get the Sandstream in, and it taunts again. I think thinking we might stay into Yawn or something like that. Um, so our switch was pretty well done as well, in the sense where we're not afraid of Calyrex. We want to get the Sandstorm up because we want to break this Sash, if any. And it works really well in our favor. So we can actually use Wormwind here, which is really great against Calyrex. So yeah, I think that worked out really well in our favor. So yeah, here comes the Astral Barrage, which we take like a champ. Sandstorm is just going to clean up the Whimsicott. Calyrex is in KO range. Now we see the Kartana. We bring the Celesteela in. Kartana goes for a max. So this is great. because I already locked the max flare onto the Kartana, which one shots it. So yeah, this is the reason why I have this move set on my Dialga. It seems super annoying, but it is what it is, right? So Astral Barrage finally gets the KO on the Dialga, um, and we already won the battle because our opponent just realizes there's not really much they can do against this. So the only unfortunate thing is that um, I think they did have something in the back that we didn't get to see, right? The Kartana gets one-shotted. Sure, your Dynamax is gone, but I'm sure you have the Kyogre right in the back. Yeah, I would have really liked to see it though. But I do believe I brought the Gastrodon in for this game. Although I would have liked to see if it was the Kyogre, in fact. Wait, so we had the Dialga that went down. We had the Oranguru, Tyranitar. No, actually, no, we didn't bring the Gastrodon. We used the Gastrodon just to threaten the Kyogre. And the Kyogre didn't get into the fight, I think. So it is possible that they actually have something else in the back. What could it be? I'll let you guys guess what it could be. Um, I don't think it's Indeedee. So it's either Regieleki or Kyogre. My bet is on Kyogre, so I'm not sure why my opponent quit. Yeah, yeah, just unfortunate. But anyway, that's it. That's the last game. So, very interesting team, very fun team. Although I must say, it really depends on your luck as well. There are certain circumstances where you do want to be really careful between how you use Tyranitar and Dialga. Like Dialga does a lot of work, but is also very susceptible to the most common Dynamax move, which is Max Quake, which you got to be really careful of. And there's a lot of fighting moves as well that threaten it, which is also a reason why V wanted to pack something like Aura Sphere. Although I'm starting to realize that it's not that big of a deal. Like Aura Sphere is not that important compared to what's most likely a max Worm win. So I'm going to probably switch this back to get the max Worm win in. Yeah, yeah, and we don't want to do Roar of Time, right? We want to do the Draco Meteor just so that we always have our next turn. Even if we lose the -2 special attack, rather than losing the turn, at least we get to do something like Trick Room, which is huge for us. So yeah, I do want to bring Draco Meteor back. I do still want to keep the Thunder just because it threatens Kyogres, plus it prevents me from, falling asleep. So that is something that I could play around with. But I think the rest of these moves have been working absolutely fine in my favor. Although I would really like to run Max Steel Spike. Like Thunder is the only thing that I would want to drop if at all. Uh, for the Steel move. But Sleep is just a threat, right? Hmm. I guess I could try it. I'll probably give you guys like a review of what could go wrong if I go Flash Cannon instead of Thunder. But yeah, it used to be Zapdos in this slot, but I switched out to Dialga because we do need a second Trick Room setter. I really need some kind of experience from you guys probably to see if I can replace Dialga in some way. But I think Dialga is just such a strong Pokemon by itself. Like it's doing such a good job. If underwhelming at all, I think is Gastrodon. Sure, it threatens the opponent from bringing Kyogre in, but at the same time, a lot of Zacian Kyogre teams are not too afraid of Gastrodon because they just go for a Max Hailstorm instead with the Behemoth Blade and Gastrodon instead. So I feel like Gastrodon has been like the most underutilized Pokemon in all of my games. If you guys have watched, Gastrodon just does not do enough. So if at all, I think this is probably the Pokemon that I should replace. And I do want to have some Pokemon with some kind of fighting move. Um, and since I do have two physical attackers, although Tyranitar's not really the best one, I could go for another physical attacker or even a special. Doesn't really matter. But it has to be a Pokemon that can, probably take charge of what is both Zacian Kyogre, um, at the same time, sort of protect the electric Pokemon. I think a grass type Pokemon would be ideal, which makes me really want to bring my Creditly back in. But the only problem with Creditly is that the Zacian. Zacian is the problem, basically. Zacian is the problem in the game. And it's just such a huge threat that I do want to have something else. Like the only reason I'm running Flamethrower over Earth Power here um, is because Max Quake is great into Zacian, but I can get the Sun up to shut down Kyogre, and I can get rid of the possibility of there being a Ferrothorn somewhere in the metagame that shuts me down. Because if I have, what do you call this, Earth Power here, Ferrothorn's gonna wall me, right? I need some kind of firepower, literal firepower. So Flamethrower is the best. Same goes for Celesteela, right? I need to have Flamethrower because that's the only thing that can deal with Ferrothorns. Everything else here is walled off by Ferrothorn. So I think a Grass Pokemon actually might be the ultimate answer here. They can handle both Zacian, Kyogre, take advantage of grassy terrain maybe in some way. So Rillaboom is another possible option. Um, it's not the worst Pokemon. It has grassy terrain, which means that it shuts down, Earth type moves. So it prevents Earthquake against two of my Pokemon. But the fact that I already resist Earthquake quite well means that Rillaboom is not really the greatest threat. But Rillaboom can actually threaten Zacians because it has wait. So let me just switch this here. So it has high horsepower. You obviously want your priority Grassy Glide, um, probably Fake Out. I think um, Fake Out and Protect maybe. Um, yeah, to buy some time, maybe Protect. I don't know. I think Rillaboom might be good because it resists water, resists electric, resists earth. Um, and if it can tank a Zacian attack, it's great. So yeah, Rillaboom might be a good option. Something to think about, but then again, any grass Pokemon I think would fulfill the role so long as it's used well enough. So I'll go through my options and I'll let you guys know what I can come up with. But yeah, there's so many options. I'm gonna go nuts with this. I definitely want a Pokemon that can what do you call this? Survive in Sandstorm in some way. Which brings me back to Credilly. So sad that I can't use it because of Zacian. But Credilly is just such an awesome Pokemon. Like it's just unfortunate the way its stats are distributed. It can't really take advantage of too many things, but it's such a good Pokemon. So anyway, that's it from me. It's been a wonderful long video, something I wanted to get off my chest after a long time. So I'll see you guys in the next one. I'm actually considering even Serena. Sounds like an interesting Pokemon for us to look at. Serena might be fun. Interesting. Actually, hmm. Take care, guys. See you in the next one.